Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and I wanted to just make a quick overview of what I'm doing in PoE2 right now, the build I'm playing. I might make, if people want, I might make an update on my ED Lich as well, other Lich I'm playing, but I have two Liches now, and this is going to be about the last Lament. So I saw there was a YouTube video somebody randomly linked in my chat called Hold Right Click and Go by Souza. It didn't have a ton of views at the time. It was like 30 minutes after it got posted, and I was like, that looks fun. That looks really cool. I started like slowly working on some of the pieces I needed for this build, and just like, if you look at it instantly, it looks really comfy in play. Obviously, as a streamer, I really like a build where I don't necessarily have to look at the screen, right? And I've talked about that a lot, where I really like where the moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty chill, and then you have really difficult bosses. Right now, that's not necessarily any good spot where bosses look like that, which I'm not a huge fan of. I would like bosses to be where you really, really need to pay attention, and I do like things like Maven. Now, I know a lot of people like just right-clicking bosses as well, but that's my personal point of view where I like maps to be pretty casual, and then bosses and maybe things like Simulacrum to be really difficult content. But anyway, I saw this video, started working on some of the items, and then something neat happened. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I've been making currency as well, because the method's dead now, and it's not something I could have shared before, because multiple people couldn't do this or it wouldn't work. But I found a Omen of Chance. And a Omen of Chance guarantees that it becomes a unique item of that specific type. It's not like the Omen of Ancients, which just turns any normal belt into any unique belt. For example, this one turns any normal heavy belt into a specific unique heavy belt. Now, that's not as strong anymore because there are multiple unique heavy belts now, but there's only one unique Desolate Crossbow. And then I asked chat, just coincidentally, I was like, does it work on a 3-socket? Like, can I exalt a 3-socket Desolate Crossbow and do last summon? And people are, or sorry, Chance Orb. And people are like, yeah, you can. I'm like, cool. So obviously I had this Omen of Chance that I found, so this was just luck that I found one. I didn't even realize they were in the game, or at least I'd forgotten about it. I find one of those, and I noticed that 3-socket Desolate Crossbows are 30 exalts, and I'm like, cool. So I chanced that, boom, I have a 3-socket Last Lament, and I noticed at the time when I searched that Last Lament, just a 2-socket was 20-25 Divine. And I'm like, interesting. So then I put that up for sale at 35 Divine, and it sold within a day. Cue me then looking up Omen of Chance, and where's Divine Orbs? And this was 5 Divine. And I was like, this is excellent. So I started buying them, and I started putting up buy orders for them. And it's a pretty dead thing right now. It's a lot harder to do, and people like tweaked onto it a little bit more. You can see... and this was before Grinding Games made it build of the week. Here's one selling for 20. Here's another one selling for 35, and this another selling for 40. That was right after it was made build of the week. They sold instantly. I probably could have gotten 60 for them. But obviously right now, a few more people are doing it. But anyway, I think I made 7 or 8 3-socket Last Laments. So I made a lot of those, and thankfully, I was able to pick up a Death Articulated at 22 or so divines. Oh, okay. There were 80 yesterday. They are not really available anymore in Hardcore. Our market is just so small compared to Hardcore. If you're wondering where these drop, they're from like these, like the Red Nexus things, but only one of the 3 bosses, I believe, and they're rare. So they're sort of non-existent on Hardcore. There is some sort of, let's see, does he have this in his budget video, I think? Yeah, so there's a glove called Leopold's Applause. And these help a lot because damage penetrates 10%. Your hits can penetrate up to a negative of 50. So these work really, really well on a budget. So they're fine. Obviously, these are really, really strong. But yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. And now is really, really juiced. I have really crazy gear. So I'm going to show and talk a little bit about my gear. But I've just been having an absolute blast on the build. I got really lucky and I got a headhunter. Thankfully, I record all my footage when I play off stream. So that's useful. I actually don't know why streamers don't do that. I feel like that's just a good habit to have. Because it's nice and relaxing to play off stream, but you don't want to miss anything like a death or a big fight. Imagine if I dropped a mirror off stream and didn't have a recording of it, that'd be tragic. Plus you would get accused of sus shit when you're not playing solo self-pod. Obviously I usually play as a death, but in PoE 2, I don't really like the lack of target farming. Logging into currency every day. What a fun feeling. So I'll probably be playing more trade, if not less. But yeah, so I'm going to go over my gear and my experience with the build. I would definitely recommend that you check out the full guides by Sauza. He's made a really good build and deserves a lot of credit for it. It's been super fun to play. So I'm doing a little bit of, you know, I did my own build for the mortar thing. That worked out really well, except I did need sunglasses to play it. And while that was really strong, it did end up dying. I had a hard time getting chaos resistance and defense on the life build for hardcore. So while it probably would have been okay on softcore, and I did try Arbiter and stuff on softcore, and that worked really well. Then I did Lich ED, which I'd tried in the past before things got buffed. And it was pretty rough in the past, but now, especially Steel Mage had some cool tech that I stole. Made that really well, then went into this, and now I'll probably save up for like 50 to 100 divines and try my own build. Just like probably throw currency at something to try to make something kind of bad or kind of janky work. Because I do think we're in a state right now where you can just throw currency at a problem. Would love to make Ignite work, but I also don't have that much faith in Ignite. So first, let me go over my gear. So I have a 3-socket last cement. That is a pretty good roll. Just because of like a 3-socket last cement right now is like 40D. I'm a bit of a bitch and I don't want to vol it. On top of the fact that I'm kind of bursting down everything in the game right now. There's nothing, even like the highest levels off, or sorry, Zesht, like die so fast. So I don't really, you know, I don't have that much incentive to vol gear right now that is hard to replace. I guess I could vol Death Articulated because like, is there even a bad outcome? You know, like you can't turn them into rare anymore, so there's not really much bad stuff that could happen to those. Same with the Headhunter, as long as I can handle the stat penalty, or if it changes the charm slots. Oh, the charm slots would be bad. But yeah, definitely don't think I'm volleying the last cement. I made an okay helmet. Obviously, resistances are a bit of a pain on this build, and you can see I'm not Ellie weakness capped. I have 2 really nice rings. I also did buy a Calandra because I was using 2 of these. I would be mirroring it if this had tier 1 lightning, but it is actually quite hard. Yeah, it's quite hard to do anything, like to get tier 1 lightning on this, but it would just be such a disgusting ring. This one does have tier 1 lightning, but it has chaos damage, which is really unfortunate. Now the dexterity here can be rerolled, but I don't really need to. Decent chest. Best item I've crafted. Captain Lance has a really good video I recommend. It's like basically a recipe for these boots. Now, I've thought about making a bit of a mini rant video about this, but I don't feel like you should be able to deterministically create like 100% or even 90% power items. I think you should only be able to deterministically create like 80% power. I think it's really healthy for a game like this, where the cream of the crop, the absolute best items are RNG to craft. And you can make the argument that they are because of Sanctified, sure. Which I do think Sanctified is very cool. They're very rare too, though, the ability to do that. There's a good line where you really want a lot of deterministic crafting and powerful deterministic crafting, but you also don't want 2 reciprocal items, right? Where it's like, these are the steps you take to make a perfect item. Hopefully that makes sense. But I totally understand people that want that as well, especially with like less time to play. Obviously, I do have a lot of time to play. I've thought about volleying them, but I would vomit if these broke, to be honest. I do have like somewhere between 100 and 200 divines. Definitely over 100, because like the Headhunter is like 40 divines or something on hardcore. Don't have any special charms. Probably should actually have a charm here. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of upgrades I can do still, but those are my items. Then for like jewels and stuff, I finally managed to get an emerald with energy shield. That's surprisingly hard to do. Obviously you have to unveil a prefix and get lucky. It would be great to get a 4-stat to throw in here, but it's just been so hard to get energy shield ones. Other than that, I have so much damage that I've been focusing more on just getting energy shield and then some damage. I don't really care that much about other stuff. What else have I done that's a little different? I've been trying to take all the like filler ES nodes because, again, so much damage. Just want more ES and tank. I'll probably go for these next. Just, again, all I really want is more defense. It's just trucking down everything anyway. I did get these, the rage nodes. If you don't know how like the build really works, it is a really cool interaction. So the last cement, sacrifice 300 life, do not consume the last bolt when firing, but your life can't change while you have energy shield. Now, this seems bugged almost, because there are several things where if you convert that skills cost life, then they stop working. So it's like only half the interactions work with this, which is really weird. I think it is a cool thing though that you can build around this, so I do think they should lean more into like this being possible and letting people convert. And like if they're gonna nerf it in a different way than disabling the interaction, because I think that's such a cool unique thing with Lich. But it is a little bit too strong right now, so I understand like why people think it's gonna get nerfed. I don't think it's gonna get nerfed this patch for what it's worth. Obviously, they don't really do that anymore. We also get loads of really good things from low life, like 25% attack damage. I wish there was a way to empty my life flask. Obviously, we don't use flasks on this. And then we get rage for free. There's lose 5% max life per second, but we can't lose life. So very cool. And then Headhunter is just good. We're low life, so we get 20% movement speed. We get 12% reduced movement speed penalty. This is how fast I run all the time, and obviously I get Headhunter buff sometimes. And I can like, if I click to shoot, it's very fast, and even if I hold down, just incredible build to play. And we can show off some quick bosses, and you can see that it just absolutely just a blast. And then one of the last upgrades I did on the character was fitting Berserk, which I needed a Spirit Amulet. Pestily had a really nice amulet. He had this up for like 20 divine and it wasn't really selling, and he was like, you know what, give me 15 for it and it's yours. There wasn't that many. There's just not that much gear up for sale on hardcore, to be honest. So I don't know if that's cheap or expensive compared to softcore, but I was very happy getting this for 25. Especially because the cold res made me able to swap my gear around a little bit. I don't have any rarity, so I unveiled that. I don't need the strength, so that's a bit of a waste. But yeah, it let me fit the rage. So thanks, Pestily. But yeah, that's the character. It's just a blast to play. It is really interesting because obviously you have the crowd of I only want PoE 2 to have 2 button abilities. But I feel like we do see whenever 1 button abilities are strong and working and available, we do see a huge amount of people gravitate towards that. So I actually do think though they should make combos a little stronger and a little bit just better feeling. The best combo ability I ever felt was, I don't remember what it's called. Probably people remember this if I say what it was like in last epoch, but there was like this ability where it placed down like a void ball, and you had to put them around different spots on your screen, and then they would teleport with you. And then if you recast the ability on one of the balls, it would all absorb into one big one, doing way more damage. And that felt really good, even though it was a multi-button ability. And like ED Contagion in PoE 1, Blade Blast, Blade Fall felt really good. Like, I think there are good ways to make combos feel good. But I think a lot of them in PoE 1, sorry, in PoE 2 are a little bit too slow and too clunky for the power they give. So whenever we do get an ability that works on one button, that ends up just being so much more powerful. So yeah, I feel like that a little bit. But either way, absolute blast. Huge shout out to Sausa for making the wonderful build that he did, and it's been a blast playing. It's been the most fun build I've played in PoE 2. So yeah, that's what I've been doing at the moment, just enjoying blasting. I'm still thinking about going for level 100 on this build and not doing more builds just because it is so fun. But level 100s were just hit night now, yesterday or so. And they've been firing for a while. So it is very slow. Big part of that is that it's tricky to get to your 16 maps. So there's not that much you can do to really speed it up. It is just like a very long slog with like 15 to 20 days /played. So, you know, it's, do I want to try 2 to 3 more builds, or do I want to just push one to level 100? It's not that attractive as much as I do like getting one level 100. But even like my first level 100 in PoE 1 was only like 13 days played or something. And that also felt like long. So we'll see. Either way, just wanted to make a video of what I've been up to. And yeah, it's a blast. Thanks for watching. Sub if you like it. More importantly, make sure you give some love to Sosa. Really cool what he did. And either way, try to die less than I do.